Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Hearthstone 4 Kaiserreich in New England. Let's continue on from where we at last left off. So, we have 6 manpower, so we can't actually do any of our special things in Ohio or New Jersey. Again, I'm not too sure why Philadelphia is not an option, or even New York City. I feel like New York City would be an area that you probably want to get some spies into, but who knows? I mean, I do technically border here. I'm not too sure like why some provinces allow you to, some provinces don't. I'm hoping that gets expanded a little bit once we actually do the focus. Where is it down here? It is, yeah, behind enemy lines. Hopefully when that is available to us, we get a few more options. Also, you were still telling me, hey, modify nothing. Okay, thank you, game. I appreciate it. I mean, is there anything else we can really do? We have like one doctrine here. We could get, I guess, Spirit of the Navy. Flexible contracts. Probably just want something that is cheap. Maybe experience gain plus 15%. We're not gaining any right now. I mean, just better submarines, right? Anything else, I think, is torpedo hit chance. Positioning, bad weather penalty could mean... Yeah. I think all submarines have torpedoes, so let's go for the torpedo upgrade. I didn't really think about that, the Navy Experience mod that I have. I think it's also the Army Experience mod. Would allow for these changes. I mean, makes sense, though. Also, that's the nighttime mode, which I do turn the nighttime mode off. Commemoration of the Thousand Island Bridge, stretching 8.5 miles, 13.7 kilometers. The industrial marvel connecting the borders of New England, Canada, finally finished construction. Taking the state of New York to Ontario, on this day, President Joseph Martin Jr. officially dedicated the bridge to New England, declaring that it marked a period of continued friendship and camaraderie between the Americans and their northern neighbors. With the blessing and dedication, the bridge will soon open, much to the cheer of Canadians and American onlookers. The brainchild of Dr. David Steinman and Dr. Holst Robinson, refugees from New York City, the bridge Construction Authority is shared by Thousand Island Bridge Authority and the Federal Bridge Corporate Limited of Canada. The bridge construction rate was incredibly fast and 10 weeks ahead of schedule, taking only 16 months to complete. Fantastic feat and testament for the cooperation between our nations. The design of the spans. Is a span a part of a bridge? I assume so. Fit the regional topography, producing beautiful bridges with artistic grace and attention to detail. Colors chosen to match the surrounding environment. Huzzah. Anyways, please get me behind enemy lines so I can actually maybe influence things a little bit more in our southern neighbor, the CSA. Who I would imagine is our biggest threat, right? I mean, the CSA... 57 to 162. Right now, me and Canada have combined like 75. Of course, the CSA would be fighting a pretty large front line. And again, I don't know. Again, I don't know if the Canadians have backed the federal government. I don't think the federal government's going to collapse anytime soon, unfortunately. Because again, it would be nice for us to proclaim ourselves to be the legitimate government of the United States. Because we have, let's just go down here, legitimacy, mantle-free America. More than 50 legitimacy, we are fully independent, we have no surrender progress. More than 40 factories, we have 41. 150,000 manpower in the field, we currently have, okay, we have 84,000 X in the field right now. We'll get that soon, and it's completed reassess American involvement, which is... reassess American involvement. Where would you be? I mean, is it here? No, that's the Southern Fire. Reassess. Let's reassure. Oh, that's right. You know, yeah, it's down here. But that requires reluctance towards the Civil Wars died down. So I guess actually that's not what I was thinking. Before I thought it was that the Civil War itself was over. But that's not the case. The case actually is that our country is no longer reluctant. So we actually need to get rid of this modifier. Question is... Never mind, it's right there. Keep the lady's promise. More than 30 legitimacy, we're independent. We actually want to get this done. We get you finished, we can then do the Southern Fire. and prepare to move our way down into, like, not the mainland United States, just into the rest of the former United States. We will go for the tactical bomber upgrade because they're pretty good. Yeah, we can't do anything here right now. You'll be done in about 10 more days, and you're a 42-day focus. It's a little expensive. Congress debates child workers. As the Industrial Revolution arrived in the United States, factory workers would hire young workers for various tasks, especially in the textile mills that categorize much of New England. Finding children in the factories has not been uncommon. Children tend to work in factories and mines as their small stature makes it easy for them to handle machinery and navigate tight spaces. Since 1870, the number of children in the workforce increased, and now with New England attempting to rebuild its industry, that number has not stopped growing. Nonetheless, the implication of children in the workforce has attracted a substantial degree of controversy. Factory work is dangerous, and children find themselves exposed to chemicals and machinery of the industrial workplace that often leads to horrible accidents or death. Activist groups such as the National Child Labor Committee, formed in 1904, have risen up in response to child labor, often publicizing young people's lives and working conditions. The syndicalist cause has also seen an effort to reduce the number of children in the workforce and instead create state compulsory education laws to keep children in school rather than at work. With New England's industry beginning to recover, Congress has now brought up the issue of child labor in the latest debate. While some argue that children are needed to help struggling families and help New England's industry compete with the rest of the American continent, many believe that the practice of child labor is inhumane. Instead, they have pushed Congress to provide compulsory universal education laws nationwide, following the age-old New England tradition of education. Doing so would significantly enhance our research and intellectual capacity as we create a new generation of scientists and researchers, although the cost would be fewer hands in the factories. We lose a little bit of production efficiency cap. 3%'s not that bad. And I mean, when we want to look, I mean, stability minus 3%, which will be a factory output loss. I think on, yeah, restrict our hours. There'll be slightly less children in the factories. I know I am a generous president. By the way, how's the Black Great Depression doing? It's still, like, bad. It's way better than it used to be. But it's still pretty bad. Welfare for work, political power gain. Yeah, I'm definitely not looking for you. Steel mills. I mean, I know some of this stuff would be nice to get. 2 more days left on you. And I believe some of these ones down here also, if I'm not mistaken, also get rid of some not Black Monday, Great Depression modifiers. At least I thought they did. I might be wrong. You had limited conscription. Don't I already have limited conscription? I do, so I don't think you literally do anything for us. Congress debate implementing wage reform. Your cap with less retention, which is, I mean, or stability. Or stability. The sense of rise in syndicalism across the nation occurred due to the aggregation of labor into seemingly oppressive practices of the industrial barons that dominated the nation's economy. While Congress is indeed wary of totalitarian and reserved radical nature of socialism, the latest congressional debate brings the issue of wage and labor standards to the table. This proposed new law aims to amend the labor agitation in the country while keeping the populace far from the allure of syndicalism. Supported by individuals within the Bureau of Labor Statistics and Standards, and Congresswoman Mary T. Norton, the proposed plan is to formally adopt an 8-hour workday, a 40-hour work week, and a wage for overtime hours. The act declares that workers must be paid a minimum wage, and that overtime wage must be 1.5 times what the worker usually be paid. The act also aims to cover young workers and declare the workers under 18 are exempt from specific dangerous jobs. Critics of the proposed law argue that it is nothing more than syndicalism in sheep's clothing, and the law dramatically strengthens workers and unions who may use the act to as a motivation to demand more. On the other hand, proponents of the law are confident that the passage of such protections will guarantee worker loyalty, ensuring that the issue of labor rights is dealt with for the time being. I really like stability, so we're going to go with that one. We will pass some minimum wage laws. There's a lot of Canadian troops on the border. Even too many, I say, on the border right now with the Roosevelt government. Oh, and of course, thank you. We lose on our manpower, a lot of destruction. The Great New England Hurricane of 1938. While it's first considered a non-issue, the Yankee Clipper Hurricane arrived in Long Island September 21st. Would only take a few hours later. Turned out to be the largest hurricane to set foot in New England since the Great Colonial Hurricane of 1635. Moving north from Long Island to Connecticut, Rhode Island, and up through Vermont, the storm cost the lives of close to 700 people. By the end of the devastation, over 57,000 homes were destroyed or damaged, and the road networks all across New England lay in tatters. Her projection has been that it would take months or even years to just reopen them to traffic. So, cool. Yeah, just destroy everything in the country. You know, I didn't need any of that to begin with. So, honestly, I'm happy. I deserve to take a little bit of a nerf. Rectamore Dam. And we can't do anything. Ohio safe house. Got a safe house in New Jersey. 50 weapons, 100 units of syndicate equipment adds to the national stockpile. I mean, right now, I can't do either because the authorities are hot on our ass right now. A little bit of a shame, but what can you do about that? We could go to Mars mobilization. I think the answer is, of course, we will do that. Giving us more factories that we can use. Of course, Great Depression is still 17% modifier. Yeah, now that the Great Depression is not as bad as it once was. We can do this. So that's going to take us about 2 more weeks. Then we can do the Southern Fire. Do we want to rush our way to... I mean, do we want to rush our way straight to that one? Let me just take a quick look again. Because we'll be claiming a mantle of free America. We will not be doing this unless you die. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Right now, the Canadians are not supporting us as the rightful successor of the US. We have enough legitimacy. We do need more manpower. I understand that. We should get some in due time. We should have some more troops on the field. Because right now we're looking at 136. 2.3 thousand rifles. I'm going to go with... Let's say... I want to get... Yeah, this should be good for now. It also gets the right up to a full 24 stack. And what I also want to do is make sure that you're not set to like this weird arrow. I'm not too sure why that's the case. Go back. Edit. Default symbol. Thank you. So now we know which one of our better units. I mean, most of them are still our kind of garbage 10 stacks. I would love to switch them over to being, you know, just better. Actually, here's the thing, right? They only require manpower. And we could definitely put manpower on the field. That's not an issue. Of course, the issue is rifles. But if I need to get manpower, that's... nah, we're good, we're good. Well, sick of St. Peter's and Paul. Faith and religion have long been keystone ideas in New England. While some question whether or not that would remain true as the nation sent into chaos with the outbreak of the Second Civil War, it appears that even in time of crisis, the New England faith remains as true as ever. After years of construction, the second largest church in New England was officially dedicated to the great happiness and satisfaction of Lewiston's French-Canadian population. During the mid-19th century, Lewiston experienced an influx of French Canadians who came to work at the local textile mills. These Catholic migrants desired a place of worship, and for a time, the parishioners worshipped in the basement of St. Joseph's Church. Because of the large number of French-speaking parishioners, the weekly mass was moved to the nave of St. John's in 1872, but the number of parishioners simply outgrew the nave, and thus the construction of a new church began with the cornerstone of St. Peter's set in 1872. In 1881, the Dominican Fathers of Lille, France, and Quebec took over the administration of the church. By 1889, the parish was known as S. Pierre S. Paul de Lewiston, Maine. By 1905, the parishioners numbered 10,000, and splitting of the parish from 1907 to 1923 led to further delays in the project. Serious work on the project was in 1933, despite the ongoing Great Depression, and finally was completed in July of 1936. It's completely finished. Now the church has finally been dedicated to the Dioclese of Portland. The church's 2 organs, both made by Cavzant Frères, a Canadian organ building company in Quebec, were also dedicated this year. Not only does the completion of the church reaffirm New England's traditional values of piety and religious freedom, but also reflects on the growing ties of French Canadians in their adopted country. 1% stability. Absolutely love to see it. Paid modifier. I think that's basically garbage. I think it literally doesn't do anything. And the Southern Fire. The preparations for war. When the Great Civil War broke out, the government of New England found itself divided regarding participation in the war. With the popularity of the isolationist groups such as America First, many New Englanders hoped to wait out the war that threatened to consume the New World. As the Great Depression persisted, the economy of New England struggled immensely. And it was not until the Second Square Deal under the president, apparently the name didn't get posted here, that the economy of New England began to show signs of recovery and growth. With its economy on the road to total recovery, the factories once producing shoes and cars are now producing military trucks and uniforms, as the threat of war grows near every day. Many in New England have begun to see the conflict for what it truly is, a battle for the true America, and New England cannot sit away from this war idly. Time has come to reclaim the country from those who drove it into chaos. Air raid drills are being practiced daily across schools in New England, and young men and women flock to the recruitment centers, eager to serve their country in an hour of need. The odds are heavily stacked against New England. Most of other factions have far more enormous manpower reserves and industries. Nonetheless, history has always favored the bold, and industrial might of the American Northwest should not be underestimated. Our factories on the ground will churn out more and more, while the plains above will ensure our skies remain free and safe. Like our ancestors in 1776, we will not be intimidated by the odds, as the Tree of Liberty will not fall to the reactionaries and revolutionaries that seek to defile it. By the way, the aircraft he's talking about is literally 9 planes, but I hope that's not going to be a big deal to the New Englander public. Yeah, so you are switching 3 civilian factories for 3 military factories. I mean, I think that's okay. 15% cheaper rifles for about 2 years. I mean, that's pretty good. You can actually make them minus 25%. And either that or we get better guns. And we get the M1 Garand for free, which I believe is the 39 rifle. Okay, I'm actually really happy to see that. So you'd be pretty nice. You're just a flat 10% factory upgrade. One of the following must be true. All of the following must be true. In a faction of the Dominion of Canada, Canada has not decided to back no one on the onset of the American Civil War. Must be one of the following must be true. Or all the following must be true. It's not in a faction of the Dominion of Canada at peace with the Pacific states and they exist. The following will bypass this focus. Okay, so it does look like, at least from what I'm reading here, is that the Canadians have not backed a faction. Because otherwise, the bypass would not be available. I'm pretty sure. Research your... That's basically trash. I'm not happy with that. You, I think, literally do nothing. One following must be true. Does not have a conscription law volunteer only. Does not have the conscription law special forces focus. I think you literally do nothing, unfortunately, for us. 50,000 manpower is pretty good. I mean, just getting 48 free aircraft also would be pretty nice. Legitimacy goes up by 10. So you're if we're backing another country. We're not, though. The Canadians have decided not to back anybody. I'm assuming they want to back us. We're in their faction, and I will absolutely join up in any Entente wars in the future. I'm actually going to start going with the 1940 support weapon upgrades now. I will say, I am worried about the CSA. I think the CSA could easily... Do you still have crippling strikes? You do. Very cool. The CSA is a big threat. 50-1, 51 divisions. And appointing a New England poet, Lorette? Position of poet Lorette has been discussed within state politics for a few years now. So, a single person represents the chorus of hundreds of artists. We get either 20 political power or more support for conservatism. I guess I'll just take the political power. I don't see a reason for us to even have the Conservative Party go up. They have 5% support. Like, who cares? 10% cheaper guns would be nice. You're basically both ass. What about Chief of Staff? Special Forces, faster units, more entrenchment. Nah, just give me that flat organization and recovery rate. I think those are both pretty good. I mean, I do see right now that the CSA is not really putting any troops on our border, which I'm happy to see. I'm glad that they've decided to try not to fight us. We're going to go with you. I think I am going to immediately go for... yeah, I think that's a negative 25% weapon upgrade is pretty good. Because right now, I mean, we do have some guns. But I'm going to need significantly more once the war actually begins. And I want to start building up troops. I don't know if New England actually can recruit the militias. like the other American factions can't. I'm assuming maybe once the war begins, we can get that done. But I cannot guarantee it. I also will go for 39 artillery pieces as well. The main we have 470 artillery, 2,000 rifles. I mean, what we could start doing as well is just slowly shifting you over to be our better infantry. They are going to need some more manpower, but we have the manpower available to make them better. But I also think, at least right now, is going to be a good time for us to end this episode. Thank everybody for watching. My thanks if you enjoyed, give me a thumbs up. Not doing, click thumbs down. If you want to subscribe, and goodbye.